Hey everybody, how y'all doing tonight? I found an article written by Joseph Tarantolo, MD. I'm going to put this down in the underbar. And I'll read just the first two paragraphs here and then tell me what you think, because I'll tell you what I think. The diagnosis of PTSD was created in response to pressure from Vietnam veterans who wanted to be sure of their right to receive medical and financial benefits, as befitting any man. The military was minimally integrated at that time, who fought in an unpopular and hateful war. We must be clear about this to be able to take PTSD out of the sphere of medical diagnoses and place it where it belongs. A social, political, and moral position in a country ambivalent about its warriors. If PTSD is not an illness, a medical condition, if we are clear about that, we can then be able to ask pertinent questions about the function and purpose of this pseudo-illness. What purpose does this diagnosis serve? Whereas initially, post-Vietnam, the diagnosis allowed an outlet for the country's guilt for over 50,000 American deaths and 1 million Vietnamese deaths for an ill-begotten war, which ultimately detracted from our world status and security. We are once again faced with this harrowing question about our national character. And it's titled PTSD, the Grand Scapegoat. I do not know how this individual even has any kind of doctorate. And it makes me sick, first of all, the way he's completely discrediting veterans. The documentation of PTSD in its very descriptions and other names has been as far back as World War I, when they called it shell shock. So I really have no idea why he's combining these two things together. There were programs of care for every different variety, when it was battle fatigue, when every single way that it was described in every single war, when combatants came back that could not function in society, and why and how that happened. The greatest boon actually was more recently when they had in-field debriefings, where when a troop had gone out, had pretty horrific experience, they would debrief. And as far as how PTSD was affected, was that incredibly positively. It reduced all kinds of problems. I have no idea where this guy comes from to say such a thing, to discredit veterans, to say that it was a political coup of some kind to make it so that they could get benefits. They don't even get the benefits that they need. They barely do. And there's so much stigma because people like him are discrediting and saying that they're just being hypochondriacal, which if he had ever been around someone who's truly suffered with this difficulty of the disease, unless that person was a hypochondriac, I can't imagine that he would think that someone would make up flashbacks, being debilitated by having to stay in a house, all of the things that happen. Cross-section around the world of people who have experienced traumatic events can agree upon these symptoms. Little children over in another country that have had just, like some kind of trauma from a weather situation or a flood or whatever it is, they didn't read the DSM-6 or 7 or whatever we're up to now to claim that they have this disease that they don't even in their culture recognize or know about. How does this guy, I have no idea how he can sleep at night. And I pray that he never himself ever has to contend with this, or any of his family or friends or his postman or his enemy's dog down the street, because if anybody who truly had this problem was in his company and was treated with such callous disregard, it would serve only to re-injure them. So I hope he figures some things out quick. Peace.